Section 10 of Library of the World's Best Literature, Ancient and Modern, Volume 9. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by K. Hand. Library of the World's Best Literature, Ancient and Modern, Volume 9. Section 10. The Nun's Priest's Tale and Truth, Ballade of Good Counsel by Geoffrey Chaucer. The Nun's Priest's Tale. A poor widow, some deal stope in age, was whilom dwelling in a narrow cottage, beside a grove, standing in a dale. This widow, of which I tell you my tale, since the like day that she was last a wife, in patience led a full, simple life. For little was her cattle and her rent, by husbandry of such as God her sent. She found herself, and eke her daughtrin too. 3 large sows had she, and no mo', 3 kine, and eke a sheep that hight mall. Full sooty was her bower, and eke her hall, in which she ate full many a slender meal. Of poignant sauce her needed never a deal, no dainty morsel passed through her throat. Her diet was accordant to her coat. Repletion ne made her never sick, a tempered diet was all her physic, and exercise and heart's sufficience. The gout let her nothing for to dance, n'apoplexy ne shent not her head. No wine ne drank she, neither white ne red. Her board was served most with white and black, milk and brown bread, in which she found no lack, signed bacon, and sometime an egg or tway, for she was as it were a manor day. A yard she had enclosed all about, with sticks and a dry ditch without, in which she had a cock hight Chanticleer. In all the land of crowing was none his peer. His voice was merrier than the merry organ, on mass days in that church gone. Well sickerer was his crowning in his lodge than is a clock or an abbey horloge. By nature he knew each ascension of the equinoctial in Thilke town, for when degrees 15 were ascended, then crew he, that it might not be amended. His comb was redder than the fine coral, and battled as it were a castle wall. His bill was black, and as the jet it shone, like azure were his legs and his ton. His nails whiter than the lily flower, and like the burned gold was his colour. This gentle cock had in his governance 7 hens for to do all his pleasance, which were his sisters and his paramours, in wonder like to him as of colours, of which the fairest hued on her throat was clept fair damosel Partelote. Courteous she was, discreet and debonair, and companionable, and bare herself so fair. Sin thilke day that she was 7 night old, that truly she hath the heart in hold of Chanticleer, locken in every lith. He loved her so, that well was him therewith. But such a joy was it to hear him sing, when that the bright sunne gan to spring. In sweet accord, my life is fair'n on land, for thilke time, as I have understand, beasts and birds could speak and sing. And so befell that in a dawning, as Chanticleer among his wives all sat on his perch that was in the hall, and next to him sat this fair Partelote, this Chanticleer gan groanen in his throat, as man that in his dream is dretched sore. And when that Partelote thus heard him roar, she was aghast, and said, O heart dear, what aileth you to groan in this manner? Ye be a very sleeper, fie for shame. And he answered and said thus, Madam, I pray that ye take it not to grief. By God, me met, I was in such mischief, right now, that yet mine heart is sore affright. Now God, quoth he, my sweven read aright, and keep my body out of foul prison. Me met how that I roamed up and down within our yard, whereas I saw a beast was like an hound, and would have made a rest upon my body, and have had me dead. His colour was betwixt yellow and red, and tipped was his tail, and both his ears with black, unlike the remnant of his hairs. His snout small with glowing eyen tway, yet of his look for fear I almost day. This caused me my groaning doubtless. Avoy, quoth she, fie on you heartless. Alas, quoth she, for by that God above, now have ye lost mine heart and all my love. I cannot love a coward, by my faith, for certes, whatso any woman saith, we all desiren, if it might be, to have husbands hardy, wise, and free, and secre, and no niggard, nay, no fool, nay, him that is aghast of every tool, nay, none aventure, by that God above. How durst ye say for shame unto your love, that anything might make in you afeard? Have ye no man's heart, and have a beard? Alas, and can you be aghast of swevens? Nothing but vanity, God wot, in sweven is. Swevens engender of repletions, and oft of fume and of complexions, when humours be too abundant in a wight. Certes this dream which ye have met to-night cometh of the great superfluity of your ready cholera party, which causeth folk to dreamen in here dreams, of arrows and of fire with red leams, of great beasts that they will hem bite, of contact and of whelps great and light, right as the humour of melancholy causeth full many a man in sleep to cry, for fear of black bears or bulls blake, or else blake devils will him take. Of other humours could I tell also, that worken many a man in sleep full woe, but I will pass as lightly as I can. Lo, Cato, which that was so wise a man, said he not thus? Nay, do no force of dreams. Now, sir, quoth she, when ye fly from the beams, for God's love, as take some laxative, up, peril of my soul and of my life, I counsel you the best, I will not lie, that both of choler and of melancholy ye purge you, and for ye shall not tarry, though in this town is none apothecary. I shall myself to herbs teachen you, that shall be for your heel and for your prow, and in our yard though herbs shall I find, the which have of here property by kind, to purgen you beneath and eke above. Forget not this for God's own love, yet be full choleric of complexion, where the sun in his ascension ne find you not replete of humours hot, and if it do, I dare well lay a groat, that ye shall have a fever tertian, or an ague that may be your bane. A day or two ye shall have digestives of worms, ere ye take your laxatives, of l'oreal, centaury, and fumentaire, or else of hellebore that groweth there, of catapeus, or of gates berries, of herb ivy growing in our yard that merry is. Pick him up right as they grow and eat him in. Be merry, husband, for your father kin dreadeth no dream. I can say you no more. Madame, quoth he, grand mercy of your lore, but natheless, as touching Dan Caton, thou hath of wisdom such a great renown, though that he bade no dreams for to dread, by God, men may in old books read, of many a man more of authority than ever Cato was, so mote I that all the reverse say of this sentence, and have well founded by experience, that dreams be significations as well of joy as of tribulations, that folk enduren in this life present, there needeth make of this none argument, the very prev sheweth it indeed. One of the greatest authors that men read saith thus, that whilom two fellows went on pilgrimage in a full good intent, and happed so they came into a town, whereas there was such a congregation of people, and eke so strait of herberge, that they ne found as much as one cottage, in which they both might lodged be, wherefore they musten of necessity, as for that night departen company. And each of him goeth to his hostelry, and took his lodging as it would fall, that one of them was lodged in a stall, far in a yard with oxen of the plough. That other man was lodged well enow, as was his aventure or his fortune, that us governeth all as in commune. And so befell, that long ere it were the day, this man met in his bed there as he lay, how that his fellow gan upon him call, and said, Alas, for in an ox's stall, this night I shall be murdered, there I lie. Now help me, dear brother, or I die. In all haste come to me, he said. This man out of his sleep for fear abraid, but when he was wakened of his sleep, he turned him and took of this no keep. Him thought his dream was but a vanity. Thus twice in his sleeping dreamed he, and at the third time yet his fellow came, as him thought, and said, I am now slaw. Behold my bloody wounds deep and wide. Arise up early in the morrow tide, and at the west gate of the town, quoth he, a cart full of dung there shalt thou see, into which my body is hid full privily. Do thilke cart arresten boldly. My gold caused my murder sooth to sayn, and told him every point how he was slain, with a full piteous face pale of hue, and trusteth well his dream he found full true. For on the morrow, as soon as it was day, to his fellows in he took his way. And when that he came to this ox's stall, after his fellow he began to call. The hostler answered him anon, and said, Sir, your fellow is agone. As soon as day he went out of the town. This man gan fallen in suspicion, remembering on his dreams that he met, and forth he goeth, no longer would he let, unto the west gate of the town, and found a dung cart, as it were to dung lound, that was arrayed in that same wise, as ye have heard the dead man devise. And with an hearty heart he gan to cry, Vengeance and justice of this felony, my fellow murdered is this same night, and in this cart he lieth gaping upright. I cry out on the ministers, quoth he, that should keep and rule in this city. Harrow, alas, here lieth my friend slain. What should I more unto this tale saying? The people outstart and cast the cart to ground, and in the middle of the dung they found the dead man that murdered was all new. O blissful God, thou art so just and true, lo how that thou bewrayest murder alway. Murder will out, that we see day by day. Murder is so loathsome and abominable to God that is so just and reasonable, that he ne will not suffer it helled be, though it abide a year or 2 or 3. Murder will out, this is my conclusion. And right anon ministers of that town have hent the carter, and so sore him pined, and eke the hostler so sore engined, that they beknew her wickedness anon, and weren hanged by the necked bone. Here may men see that dreams be to dread, and certes in the same book I read, right in the next chapter after this. I gab not, so have I joy and bliss. To men that would have passed over sea for certain cause into a far country, if that the wind ne had been contrary, that made him in a city for to tarry, that stood full merry upon an haven side. But on a day again the eventide, the wind gan change, and blew right as him lest. Jolly and glad they went until her rest, and casting 'em full early for to sail. But to that one man fell a great marvail, that one of them in sleeping as he lay, he met a wonder dream again the day. Him thought a man stood by his bed side, and him commanded that he should abide, and said to him thus, If thou tomorrow wend, thou shalt be drayant, my tale is at an end. He woke and told his fellow what he met, and prayed him his voyage to let. As for that day he prayed him for to abide, his fellow that lay by his bed aside, gan for to laugh, and scorned him full fast. No dream, quoth he, may so my heart aghast, that I will letten for to do my things. I set not a straw by thy dreamings, for swevens be but vanities and japes. Men dream all day of owls or of apes, and eke of many a maze therewithal. Men dream of thing that never was ne shall. But sith I see that thou wilt here abide, and thus forslothen wilfully thy tide, God wot it rueth me, and have good day. And thus he took his leave, and went his way. But ere that he had half his course y-sailed, not I not why, ne what mischance it ailed, but casually the ship's bottom rent, and ship and man under the water went, in sight of other ships there beside, that with him sailed at the same tide. And therefore, fair Partolote so dear, by such ensamples old yet mayest thou lear, that no man should be too reckless of dreams, for I say thee doubtless that many a dream full sore is for to dread. Lo, in the life of Saint Kenelm I read, that was Kenulphus' son, the noble king of Mercenreich, how Kenelm met a thing. A little ere he was murdered on a day, his murder in his a vision he say. His Norris him expounded every dell, his sweven, and bade him for to keep him well, for treason. But he nas but 7 year old, and therefore little tale hath he told of any dream, so holy was his heart. By God I had liefer than my shirt, that had ye read his legend as have I. Dame Partolote, I say you truly, Macrobius that writ the vision, in Alfric of the worthy Scipion, affirmeth dreams, and saith that they be warnings of things that men after see. And furthermore, I pray you looketh well in the Old Testament of Daniel. If he held dreams any vanity, read eke of Joseph, and there shall ye see, where dreams be sometime, I say not all, warning of things that shall after fall. Look of Egypt the king Dan Pharaoh, his baker and his butler also, whether they ne felt in none effect in dreams, whoso will seek in acts of sundry reams. May read of dreams many a wonder thing. Locrosius, which that was of Lydia king, met he not that he sat upon a tree, which signified he should a hanged be? Lo, here Andromache, Hector's wife, that day that Hector should lease his life, she dreamed on the same night beforn, how that the life of Hector should be lorn, if thilke day he went into battle. She warned him, but it might not avail. He went for to fighten natheless, and he was slain anon of Achilles. But thilke tale is all too long to tell, and eke it is nigh day I may not dwell. Shortly I say as for conclusion, that I shall have of this a vision adversity. And I say furthermore, that I ne tell of laxatives no store. For they be venomous, I wot it well. I hem defy, I love him never, Adele. Now let us speak of mirth, and stint all this, Madam Partolote, so have I bliss. Of one thing God hath sent me large grace. For when I see the beauty of your face, you be so scarlet red about your eyen, it maketh all my dread for to dien. For also sicker as in principio mulier et hominus confusio. Madame, the sentence of this Latin is, woman is man's joy and all his bliss. For when I feel a night your soft side, I am so full of joy and of solace, that I defy both sweven and dream. And with that word he flew down from the beam, for it was day, and eke his hens all, and with a chuck he gan him for to call, for he had found a corn lay in the yard. Royal was he was no more afeard. He looketh as it were a grim lion, and on his toes he roameth up and down. Him deigned not to set his feet to ground, he chucketh when he hath a corn y found. And to him rennen then his wives all, thus royal as a prince is in his hall. Leave I this Chanticleer in his pasture, and after will I tell his adventure. When that the month in which the world began, that height March when God first maked man, was complete, and ye past were also, sithen March began, 30 days and 2, befell that Chanticleer in all his pride, his 7 wives walking by his side, cast up his eyen to the bright sun, that in the sign of Taurus had run, 20 degrees and 1 and somewhat more. He knew by kind and by none other lore, that it was prime, and crew with blissful steven. The sun, he said, is clomen up on heaven, 40 degrees and 1 and more you wis. Madam Partolo, my world's bliss, hearkeneth these blissful birdies how they sing, and see the fresh flowers how they spring. Full is mine heart of revel and solace. But suddenly him fell a sorrowful case, for ever the latter end of joy is woe. God wot that worldly joy is soon ago, and if a rether could fair indite him in a chronic safely, might it write, as for a sovereign notability. Now every wise man let him hearken me. This story is also true, I undertake, as is the book of Launcelot de Lake, that women hold in full great reverence. Now will I turn again to my sentence. A coal fox full of sly iniquity, that in the grove had wone years 3, by high imagination forn cast, the same night throughout the hedges brast. Into the yard there Chanticleer the fair was wont, and eke his wives to repair. And in a bed of wardis still he lay, till it was passed undern of the day, waiting his time on Chanticleer to fall, as gladly do these homicides all, that in await lie to murder men. O false murderer, lurking in thy den, O new Scariot, new Ganelon, false dissimulator, O Greek Sinon, that broughtest Troy all utterly to sorrow. O Chanticleer, accursed be that morrow, that thou into that yard flew from the beams, that thou were full well warned by thy dreams, that thilke day was perilous to thee. But what that God forwot motes needs be, after the opinion of certain clerks, witness on him that any perfect clerk is, that in school is great altercation in this matter, and great disputation, and hath been of 100,000 men. But I ne cannot bolt it to the bren, as can the holy Dr. Augustin, or Boshi, or the Bishop Bradwarden. Whether that goads worthy for whiting, straineth me needly for to do a thing, needly cleep I simple necessity, or else if free choice be granted me, to do that same thing, or do it not, though God forwot it ere that it was wrought. Or if his whiting staineth never a dell, but by necessity conditional. I will not have to do of such matter. My tale is of a cock, as ye may hear, that took his counsel of his wife with sorrow, to walk in the yard upon that morrow, that he had met the dream that I have told. Women's counsels be full often cold. Women's counsel brought us first to woe, and made Adam from paradise to go, there as he was full merry and well at ease. But I for naught, to whom it might displease, if I counsel of woman would blame, pass over for I said it in my game. Read authors where they treat of such matter, and what they say of women ye may hear. These be the cock's words, not mine. I can none harm of no woman divine. Fair in the sand to bathe her merrily, lieth Partelote and all her sisters by. Again the sun, and Chanticleer so free, sang merrier than the mermaid in the sea. For Physiologus saith sickerly, how they that singen well and merrily. And so befell that as he cast his eye among the wortis on a butterfly, he was aware of this fox that lay full low. Nothing ne list him then for to crow, but cried anon, Cock, cock, and up he start, as man that was afraid in his heart. For naturally a beast desireth flee from his contrary, if he may it see, though he ne'er erst had seen it with his eye. This Chanticleer, when he gan him espy, he would have fled, but that the fox anon said, Gentle sir, alas, why will ye gone? Be ye afraid of me that am your friend? Now, certes, I were worse than a friend, if I to you would harm or villainy. I am not come your counsel for to espy, but truly the cause of my coming was only for to hearken how that ye sing. For truly ye have as merry a steven as any angel hath that is in heaven. Therewith ye have in music more feeling than had Bochi or any that can sing. My lord your father, God his soul bless, and eke your mother of her gentlesse, have in mine house ye been, to my great ease, and certes, sir, full fain would I you please. But for men speak of singing, I will say, so might I brooken well my eyen tway. Save you, I heard never man so sing, as did your father in the morwinning. Certes it was of heart all that he sung, and for to make his voice the more strong, he would so pain him, that with both his eyen he must wink so loud he would cryin, and standin on his tipton therewithal, and stretchin forth his neck long and small. And eke he was of such discretion, that there nas no man in no region that him in song or wisdom might pass. I have well read in Dan Burnell the ass among his verse, how that there was a cock, for that a priest's son gave him a knock upon his leg while he was young and nice. He made for him to lease his benefice, but certain there nis no comparison betwixt the wisdom and discretion of your father and of his subtlety. Now singeth, sir, for Saint Charity. Let's see, can ye your father counterfeit? This Chanticleer his wings gan to beat, as man that could his treason not espy, so was he ravished with his flattery. Alas, ye lords, many a false flatteur is in your courts, and many a lusingure, that pleasen you well more by my faith, than he that soothfastness unto you saith. Readeth Ecclesiast of flattery, beware ye lords of her treachery. This Chanticleer stood high upon his toes, stretching his neck, and held his eyen close, and gan to crowen loud for the nonce, and Dan Russell the fox start up at once, and by the garget hent Chanticleer, and on his back toward the wood him bare, for yet ne was there no man that him sued. O destiny that mayest not be eschewed! Alas, that Chanticleer flew from the beams, alas, his wife ne wrought not of dreams, and on a Friday fell all this mischance. O Venus, that art goddess of pleasance! Sin that thy servant was this Chanticleer, and in thy service did all his power, more for delight than world to multiply, why wouldst thou suffer him on thy day to die? O Gofrid, dear master sovereign, that when thy worthy king Richard was slain, with shot complainest his death so sore, why nad I now thy sentence and thy lore, that Friday for to chide, as didden ye? For on a Friday soothly slain was he. Then would I shew you how that I could plain for Chanticleer's dread and for his pain. Certes, such cry, ne lamentation, was ne'er of ladies made when Ilion was won, and Pyrrhus with his straight sword, when he had hent King Priam by the beard, and slain him Athsaeus Anedios, as maiden all the hens in the close, when they had seen of Chanticleer the sight. But sovereignly Dame Partelote shright, full louder than Hasdrubal's wife, when that her husband had lost his life, and that the Romans had burnt Carthage. She was so full of torment and of rage, that wilfully into the fire she start, and brent her selvin with a steadfast heart. O woeful hens, right so crieden ye, as when that Nero brent the city of Rome, crieden senators' wives, for that their husbands lost in all her lives. Withouten guilt this Nero hath him slain. Now will I turn to my tale again. This Sally widow and eke her daughters too, hearden these hens cry and maken woe, and out at doors starten they anon, and saw the fox toward the grove gone, and bare upon his back the cock away. They criedent, Out, Harrow and Welaw! Ha, ha, the fox! And after him they ran, and eke with staves many another man. Ran Call our dog, and Talbot, and Garland, and Mulkin with a distaff in her hand. Ran cow and calf, and eke the very hogges, so were they feared for barking of the dogges. And shouting of the men and women eke, they ran in so hem thought her heart to break. They yelled as fiends do in hell. The ducks crieden as men would hem quell. The geese for fear flew o'er the trees. Out of the hive came the swarm of bees. So hideous was the noise. Ah, Benseat. Certes he, Jack Straw, and his mayen, ne maiden never shouts half so shrill, when they that wouldn't any Fleming kill, as thilke day was made upon the fox. Of brass they broughten beams, and of box, of horn and bone, in which they blew and pooped, and therewithal they shrieked and they hooped. It seemed as that heaven should fall. Now, good men, I pray you hearkeneth all. Lo, how fortune turneth suddenly the hope and pride eke of her enemy. This cock that lay upon the fox's back, in all his dread unto the fox he spake, and said, Sir, if that I were as ye, yet would I say as wis God help me. Turneth again, you proud churlish all, every pestilence upon you fall. Now am I come unto the wood's side, maugre your head, the cock shall here abide. I will eat him in faith, and that anon. The fox answered, In faith it shall be done. And as he spake that word, all suddenly this cock brake from his mouth deliverly, and high upon a tree he flew anon. And when the fox saw that he was gone, Alas, quoth he, O Chanticleer, alas, I have to you, quoth he, done trespass, inasmuch as I maked you afeard, when I you hent and brought out of the yard. But, sir, I did it of no wick intent. Come down, and I shall tell you what I meant. I shall say sooth to you, God help me so. Nay then, quoth he, I shrew us both too, and first I shrew myself of blood and bones, if thou beguile me any ofter than once. Thou shalt no more, through thy flattery, do me to sing and winken with mine eye. For he that winketh when he should see, all wilfully, God let him never thee. Nay, quoth the fox, but God give him mischance, that is so indiscreet of governance, that jangleth when he should hold his peace. Lo, such it is for to be reckless, and negligent, and trust on flattery. But ye that holden this tale of folly, as of a fox or of a cock and hen, take the morality thereof, good men. For St. Paul saith, that all that is written is, to our doctrine it is writ wis. Take it the fruit, and let the chaff be still. Now, good God, if that it be thy will, as saith my Lord, so make us all good men, and bring us to his high bliss. Amen. Truth. Ballad of Good Counsel. Flee from the press, and dwell with soothfastness. Suffice thine own thing, though it be small. For hoard hath hate and climbing tickleness. Press hath envy, and wheel blent over all. Savour no more than thee behove shall. Rule well thyself, that other folk canst read, and truth shall deliver, it is no dread. Tempest thee not all crooked to redress, in trust of her that turneth as a ball. For great rest stands in little business. Beware also to spurn against an all. Strive not as doth the crock with the wall. Daunte thyself, that dauntest others' deed, and truth shall deliver, it is no dread. That thee is sent, receive in buxomness. The wrestling for this world asketh a fall. Here is none home, here-ness but wilderness. Forth, pilgrim, forth, forth, beast, out of thy stall. Know thy country, look up, thank God of all. Hold the highway, and let thy ghost thee lead, and truth shall deliver, it is no dread. Envoy. Therefore thou vouch, leave thine old wretchedness, unto the world leave now to be thrall. Cry him mercy, that of his high goodness made thee of naught, and in especial. Draw unto him and pray in general, for thee, and eke for other heavenly meed, and truth shall deliver, it is no dread. End of section 10.